High above the jungle canopy, where incense smoke dissolves into open sky, Deva Naksatra ascends his tower of sandstone and silence. The year is perhaps 965 CE. The sacred complex of Mi-son sleeps below him, its brick temples breathing the heat of 10,000 devotional fires. He unrolls his palm leaf scrolls, fingers tracing star maps inked by priests long dead, and turns his gaze upward. The heavens, as ever, should be orderly, obedient, divine. But tonight, something moves against the grain of the universe, a smear of cold light cutting an arc no ancient record has ever named. He measures it twice, then a third time. His copper instruments do not lie. Somewhere behind those calm, scholarly eyes, a door is opening onto something vast and terrible, and Deva Naksatra is not yet certain he wishes to see what waits beyond it. By the light of a guttering oil lamp, Deva Naksatra tears through centuries of sacred knowledge. Palm leaf manuscripts, brittle as dried skin, cascade across the stone floor. His fingers trace columns of Sanskrit notation. Star positions mapped by priests long turned to ash. The air is thick with sandalwood dust and the musk of ancient fiber. Each scroll whispers its secrets reluctantly. Then, buried within a water-stained fragment from a forgotten reign, he finds it, a single, trembling reference. A similar wandering fire crossed these same heavens generations past. Weeks later, Simhapura, the great northern capital of Champa, lay in ruin and flame. Deva's breath catches. His hands go still. The lamp stutters in the humid dark. One catastrophe recorded. One city consumed. And now, the same cold light burns again above Mi-son's sacred towers, and somewhere beyond the jungle, an enemy king is also watching the sky. The royal hall of Indrapura shimmers with the smoke of 100 oil lamps, the air thick with sandalwood and the weight of absolute power. Deva Naksatra kneels on cold sandstone, his star charts trembling in outstretched hands, his voice measured but urgent as he lays bare the sky's terrible warning. King Jaya Paramesvaravarman listens, fingers tracing the carved lotus of his throne, his expression unreadable as polished bronze. Then Rudrasoma rises. High priest, temple sovereign, immovable as the stone towers of Mi-son itself. With a single contemptuous gesture, he dismisses the scrolls, dismisses the calculations, dismisses Deva entirely, reducing years of sacred scholarship to the delusions of a sleepless mind. The court murmurs. Deva's humiliation is complete. But somewhere beyond the palace walls, an enemy army watches the same sky and draws very different conclusions. Word arrives not through royal courier, but through the trembling hands of a river merchant, a man who trades in silk and, when necessary, secrets. The news he carries is more dangerous than any weapon. Far to the north, in the war councils of Dai Viet, the same blazing star burns above campaign maps and sharpened spears. Champa's enemies have named the comet a divine sword, a celestial mandate pressed into the palms of generals hungry for the red laterite soil of Mi-son. What Deva reads as warning, they read as invitation. The sacred becomes tactical. The heavens themselves are being conscripted into the machinery of war. Deva extinguishes his oil lamp, wrapping himself in darkness, understanding now that the true danger is not written in the sky. It is marching toward him through the jungle. Inside the inner sanctum, Incense smoke coils through carved sandstone archways, thick with the breath of 1,000 offerings. Deva Naksatra stands before Rudra Soma, his clay tablets clutched against his chest like a shield, his calculations undeniable and damning. The high priest's face hardens into something ancient and merciless, his silk robes catching the lamplight like hammered gold. This is not a disagreement between scholars. This is a confrontation between two competing visions of what truth is allowed to be. Deva gestures toward the sky beyond the temple walls. Rudra gestures toward the altar. The sacred bronze bells hang motionless, unrung, as if the temple itself holds its breath. Expulsion is threatened. Disgrace. Silence. But Deva has seen something written in the heavens that no edict can erase, and tonight the stars will speak again. Stripped of his title and his tower, Deva Naksatra descends alone to the river altar at the jungle's edge, where the Thuban runs cold and black beneath a moonless sky. He carries nothing but a clay lamp, a reed stylus, and the weight of a kingdom's indifference. Around him, the night breathes. The click of insects, the distant toll of a temple bell, the smell of wet stone and river mud older than memory. He kneels on the flat sacrificial rock and begins again from nothing, scratching calculations into damp earth with trembling hands. No patron watches. No priest can silence him here. Only the stars bear witness. And it is here, in this absolute solitude, with the lamp guttering against the river wind, that Deva sees what he had been too afraid or too obedient to see before. The oil lamp gutters. Deva's reed stylus moves faster now, tracing arcs across palm leaf charts stained with decades of inherited assumption. He strips away the priests, glosses, the borrowed prophecies, the trembling annotations of frightened men, and finds beneath them something extraordinary: mathematics. Cold, luminous, indifferent to kings. The comet is no messenger of ruin. It is a traveler on a known road, returning as it has returned before, as it will return again, long after every temple in these highlands has surrendered to the jungle. And there, in the Dai Viet commander's own captured star charts, the fatal miscalculation. Their chosen hour of triumph will be swallowed by floodwaters roaring down from the enemy's highlands. The river will do what no army of Champa needs to. Deva rises, his hands shaking not with fear now, but with the terrible urgency of a man who must reach his king before dawn. At last, the carved, teak doors of the royal chamber open. Deva Naksatra steps into lamplight thick with sandalwood smoke, his reed scrolls pressed against his chest like sacred armor. Before the king, he unrolls the evidence. Star charts inked in lampblack and turmeric, trajectory lines drawn with a priest's trembling precision. The numbers do not lie. The flooding of the Thuban Valley, accelerated by the comet's gravitational pull on seasonal rains, will render the river passes impassable within days. Any advancing army, however bold, will be swallowed by the earth itself. The king studies the scrolls in silence, his golden armbands catching the flame. Then, a single nod. Riders are dispatched before dawn breaks over the jungle canopy. But whether the order reaches its destination in time remains terrifyingly uncertain. The rains come not as weather, but as judgment. In the valley approaches to Mi Sun, the Dai Viet advance columns wade into rising water that swallows their war elephants to the knee, then the chest. Supply lines dissolve into brown torrents. Siege equipment, dragged for weeks through jungle heat, vanishes beneath churning floodwaters. The cherem sentinels on the high temple walls watch in silence as an entire campaign simply ceases to exist. No arrows loosed, no swords drawn, no prayers to any god of war answered. The jungle steams. The sacred towers of Mi-Sun stand untouched, their red brick darkened by rain but unbroken. It is a victory that feels, somehow, like grief. And high above the chaos, Deva Naksatra stares at his calculations and understands, for the first time, that the stars did not spare his kingdom. They expose something far more dangerous. Years pass. The jungle reclaims its silence around Mi-Sun, and the smoke of incense rises once more through sandstone corridors. But Deva Naksatra leaves behind something more enduring than prophecy. Chiseled into red laterite by steady, practiced hands, his inscription carries no triumphant declaration, only method. How to align the gnomon at solstice. How to chart a comet's arc without trembling. How to ask the sky a question and bear the weight of its honest answer. The stone smells of iron dust and river clay. It is modest, almost plain. Yet within a generation, students gather beneath these jungle stars clutching palm leaf manuscripts, learning not what the heavens demand, but how to listen. Deva understood what his rivals never could, that truth, patiently read, outlasts every empire that fears it. And from this single stone, something extraordinary is about to grow.